so sweet. Oh, oh. So did
that thing, yeah.
oh, she had all these heart issues.
Don't forget.
Yeah, leaves.
I see they're putting the doors on the shop at Plainfield.
Already?
Looks like up and busy.
Build a new shop after you retire, huh?
Yeah.
Go down yet? Is that allowable? Thank you.
It's too much reality, you know. It's just too much.
How's Sturgeon Spear and going, Barry? They stopping in afterwards?
Oh yeah, yeah. They had one.
she's such a
I had
cute
made them. Well, Saturday they had everything tarped. They
Got a
hauled
big
them right
baby
in and
now?
put them on the
What?
pool table. I have a board of the pool
here?
table. I tarp it, and they haul them in, and
No.
I have dollar
No,
bush
I-
lights. So she's a pretty packed house, standing room only. But had several of them. But some guys, some friends of mine got a 100-pounder today, and I had an extra tarp. So I said, well, you ain't gonna throw on the pool table now because there's no board on it. But they put it on the tarp and brought her in anyways, and they were all giving her when I left.
Did you see on the news that the couple of guys got into it? So the ones
All
that
right.
plow and plowed the snow all up around one guy's house.
After,
Really?
before.
Now the DNR's involved. It was on TV tonight.
I heard a lot of guys are going to start pulling shacks the next couple of days because by Friday, that warm weather and rain and then the high winds, I mean, that's going to buff that ice right out. You're gonna have to
They got that four-wheeler out of Green Lake yet.
I don't know. That would be a hard one to get out depending on where it went in.
They said that it's probably 50 or 60 feet of water.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be tough.
Every day the meter
I think
keeps
somebody
running
didn't like
till you get them all.
the guy that they plowed his shack was covered in
Crazy.
snow.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't
This
think
year the ice was never good.
aggravated somebody pretty bad.
Most of the lakes, the smaller lakes, is respectable, but
I've been tempted to do that.
Winnebago's never been good this year.
18 inches
If anyone ever fishes in it.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's good ice. But it's, you know, you had so much snow and then thaw and then you had water. I mean, it's just not real good ice this year.
Everybody's here?
After this week, everything's going to be a mess.
Central Planning is going to bring their spring conference here.
Actually, I had snowmobilers in when I left, and there was more pulling in when
I know you're going to want to run
they'd
right
be out on the trail.
Like it, my
Can't be that
Hard ice and bare ground with a little bit of powder on top. That's about it.
bad.
Okay. All right, let's call the meeting to order. Mel will do roll call.
This is Prince here.
Yay.
Welcome back, Bernadette.
Welcome, welcome. It's very good to see you.
Mr. Heisey.
Here. Here.
Mr. Eckstein. Mr. Weddy.
Here.
Here.
Mr. King.
Here.
Here,
Mr. Rothenau.
Here.
Mark Kirschner.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Let's stand for silent prayer and pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all. All right. We need a motion to approve the agenda.
so move.
Motion by Bob, second by Jerry. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of the minutes of the January 19th, 2016 monthly meeting.
Motion to approve?
Motion by Weddy,
Second.
second by Barry. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, under public comments, we have Barb Barker, will address the board.
I want to take this opportunity. In your packet, along with the UW Extension Office reports, there was a sheet of paper called What I Learned During My 4-H Experience. And I just want to share a little background on this and then also highlight some of the comments. Each year we have about 20 to 30 youth who apply for trips and awards. And one of those trips is 6th through 8th graders who plan an opportunity to travel to a county or a couple counties in the state of Wisconsin and determine what they want to learn and visit a variety of places. We also have some youth who will be going to Madison to spend a week on the UW-Madison campus to become familiar with what happens on a university campus, as well as the opportunity to learn some new things about their projects, maybe that they're taking in 4-H, and also some other things. Hopefully we have 3 youth traveling to Washington, D.C., where one of their opportunities might be to meet with our federal representatives there. When I took a look at the applications, I found some very insightful things in there about what they had learned about 4-H, through 4-H, what some of their experiences were. And a lot of it is a credit to our 4-H volunteer leaders, like Bernadette Krentz, your very own Bernadette Krentz, who's been a leader for 40 plus years of one of the 4-H clubs and participates in a lot of other activities. It's also the opportunities that we provide. There's a number of opportunities on the county, as well as the state, as well as some of the national trips that I mentioned. And as I took a look at those, there were some real themes that came out in the comments. The first one is being part of the 4-H community, and it talks about the value of being a member of a youth organization. And one of the comments that I highlighted is, I value the many friendships, experiences, challenges, and people that I have met only by being a 4-H member. Another one talks about leadership. When you talk to 4-H alumni, one of the key things that they talk about is the leadership experiences that they have in 4-H. And also, we know that as employers are looking through resumes, if 4-H is on that resume, that helps to provide a better opportunity sometimes for that youth or adult to become hired. When I was a younger member, I thought to myself, I'm going to be an older member that younger members look up to, and I have achieved that goal. A third theme was learning skills that I'll use throughout my life. I have initiated the development of committees within my 4-H club to allow younger members to develop decision-making and team-building skills within a smaller group. And the last one is making a contribution to my community. The last part of the 4-H pledge is I pledge my hands to larger service. Participating in over 30 community service projects this year has helped me and others learn citizenship, leadership, and hard work. These projects have forged relationships and friendships with community members that mean something to them and me, as well as helped our club meet their needs. So that was just some highlights. So there's a number of comments, and I probably had 4 sheets of paper that I then skimmed down to 2 pages so that we could share these comments with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Barb. All right, we have no unfinished business. So under new business, we have reports and presentations, buildings and grounds annual report.
My staff this year stayed the same, so it got the same number. What I'm going to highlight is some of the projects we worked on this year. We replaced the carpeting in the north annex in the first floor break room. It was carpeting, and it was because of being a break room, excuse me, it's always getting soiled so bad, so we went with ceramic tile in there. We replaced the buckled tile in the courthouse basement by the elevator with new quarry tile. I don't know if some of you happen to be down there, or something shifted in the building causing it to buckle, so we had to replace that. We added some signage for the north annex. We worked on the senior kitchen hot water heater. We had some issues with it, and we got it up and running again. Hot water heater seemed to be a problem here. We remodeled the nurses' reception area. We removed the wallpaper, tore out all the old cabinets and some part walls, and we put in modular furniture, and we painted the walls. We remodeled the second floor conference room in the north annex. Same thing, we stripped the wallpaper off the walls, and then we repainted. It was real dark, so now it's a lot lighter in there. We replaced the loose and worn out carpeting in the jail's administration area. If you had been there in the last years or so, it was all wrinkled and buckled. And so we replaced that with ceramic tile also. It's so much easier to keep clean in that. We replaced the Modine heater in the north annex. That the heat exchanger burnt out in that, so we had to replace that just as the weather was getting cold. We replaced the contactor and switches into exhaust fans at the jail. When they don't run, the cold air dumps down into ductwork, and the inmates were complaining about getting rather chilly in there. The big project of the year was probably, after 5 years, getting that building, the Hancock EMS building there. We went and looked at a lot of different options, and eventually we went with a stick-built. I believe it turned out very well, and it is done now, except for blacktop and the fence around it. We also worked on the door project at the courthouse here. The exterior doors were all failing. They were rusting out and along with the jambs. So as long as we were doing it, we moved entrance by the elevator out and remodeled that area and replaced all the, on the newer part of the courthouse, the exit doors. And lastly, we replaced the carpeting in the judge's chambers. He had some of the original carpeting when it was, this addition was built in '78. The new projects for this year is we're looking at replacing the roof at the north annex over the garage. We're looking at insulating that roof because the EMS dorm area is always very hot in the summer. It's a black roof, and we're going to replace it with a white roof and, like I say, insulate it. And we're looking at fixing and repairing showers at the jail. They're showing their wear and stuff. They're epoxy paint, and so we're going to get a company in and repair them before the damage is too great. Any questions?
Randy, did you want to mention about Bill Reuter?
Yeah, Bill Reuter, the architect that we've worked with, passed away here, what is it, a week or two ago? And so I think we'll miss him quite a bit because he was very helpful as far as with all these projects and that. He did a lot of work for me as far as finding codes and stuff without charging and that, so it'll be interesting to try to find a replacement.
Thank you, Randy. Randy had a lot of patience with us when we would start the building in Hancock and then stop it, and no, we're gonna do it, and no, we can't do it right now. So I, for one, really appreciate everything you've done. Yes,
Is the new EMS building being used already?
yes, it is. I believe that Brian is gonna do an open house in spring sometime, yeah. So there'll be an open house so that everybody gets to see them. But they're up and operating, and
That might be a good place to hold our meeting then.
that's not, well,
I don't think it's
I don't think it's big enough
Not
for
big
that.
enough?
No. That was a good idea. Okay, Sheriff's Department, annual report. Yeah.
I'll meet you at the bowling alley.
Yeah.
On the street, call me if you need.
Maybe one more.
There.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Good evening. I have my 2015 report for you. So, Deb, if you want to hit
Sure.
the next slide. We are authorized 55 positions plus the 3 part-time courthouse security people. As of this time, we are waiting for a new jailer to come on board. She should be starting here, I think, within the week. We have a new dispatcher that'll be starting here in about 2 weeks. We've reached out and extended an offer to a gentleman from up north to become our new detective, and we're in the process of hiring a patrol deputy. Darlene from my staff has advised me since we moved into the new building over there since 2000, we've never been fully staffed. So the day that
I
we
can
become
attest to
fully
that.
staffed, I'm going to go out and go to a monument company. I'm going to get a chunk of granite made out that at this date and time we were fully staffed. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was going to have a
put
date and
like
time
a
on
minute
it.
in there, yeah.
Yeah. Next step. We have some major projects that we completed or some that we started in 2015. Our field training program for all three divisions, road, jail, and dispatch, have been implemented. All of the deputies that field train on the road have been certified, so we are in good shape with our field training program throughout the office. We started an office awards program, and this is to recognize employees that do an exceptional job or like a life-saving. Our first one went to Deputy Scott Egan for a life-saving award, and we're getting that program up and going. We've entered into a lease agreement with Eklund Motorsports out of the valley for leasing snowmobiles. We sold our old sleds, and under the DNR program, we can lease these snowmobiles, so it works out nice for us. At the end of the year, we turn in the sleds, and it's a economical way for us to run the snowmobile program, and the DNR does reimburse us for that part of the snowmobile program. We started, and we're still working on getting a police chaplain program up and running. We're trying to work out a partnership with the clergy in our county to assist us at times when we have events that occur. We are small enough that we can use the support of some of the clergy when we have serious injuries or deaths that occur in the county. We have started a line of duty death procedure. This is something that I found out is required by law for all administrators and law enforcement. We have to have a policy and a procedure in place in case one of our staff is killed in the line of duty. Updated our TRAX program. The TRAX program is a state program that takes care of all of our traffic citations and our crash reports and our ordinance citations. We went from the state's version 7.3 to TRAX 10, and with any upgrade, especially a state program, we've had a lot of problems with TRAX 10. Stacy Vaccaro has been working through that, and it's caused a lot of headaches for us, but someday we'll get it working. We have switched, and we're in the process of switching from an old crime reporting system, which was incident-based reporting. We're going to incident-based reporting instead of the old uniform crime reporting. This is the crime reporting that each state submits to the FBI, so when you hear the FBI statistics on murder and robbery and these types of things, this is the report that is generated from each law enforcement agency, and we're switching from the old UCR to an incident-based system. So instead of just looking at the old uniform crime reporting system, took the most serious violation or the most serious case, and that wasn't always a true representation of what was occurring. Incident-based would take the incident, and then it looks at the number of crimes associated with that incident, so it gives a much more true picture of crime reporting and crime statistics. It's a mandated program. They keep on pushing out the deadline for this, but we were able to switch this, and we were eligible for some grants to purchase the software we needed and get the training in place. The majority of the grant went for training our people for the new reporting system. And also, at the request of the fire departments, we initiated I Am Responding program, which is it's a phone app or a computer app that the dispatchers can send out when the dispatchers are typing out a call involving the fire departments or EMS. That information will appear on the phones of the firemen and the EMS people, and I'll give them a Google map of where the incident is located, and I'll give them the description of the call and what's involved. This is a program that we started the first part of the fall, and then when we did some work in our firewall system, we had a glitch, and this I Am Responding was down for approximately 3 months, I believe. So, but we did get it up and running here right after the first of the year, and it's something that the fire departments and the EMS people really appreciate. So, those were the major projects that we were doing in 2015. Next slide. Civil process, I have examples of the total papers that we did. And what I've done too is you'll notice that behind some of these statistics there's red numbers. And that red number is a change from the 2014 numbers. So in this case, we served a total of 751 papers, and that was down 164 from last year. There's also a group of papers. There's that total of a 751, but then if you also look at the next line, the total of 453 papers, those are papers that we serve at no cost. These are papers we serve for district attorney or for Ruth, or that come out of the court, and because of the indigency or the person's ability not to pay, the court can waive those fees. So those are papers that will serve at no charge to the people involved in the court action. So those were 453 papers that we served in this case. Again, most of our road deputies handle a lot of the civil process, but some of the more involved papers are the ones that Sally and I work on, and I handle a lot of those writs of replevin or writs of assistance in those types of cases. So, yeah. These are our figures from the dispatch center. Call volumes were down a little bit. The 911 calls, we're seeing this, and I think everybody is seeing this rotation from people getting rid of landlines and relying more on cell phones. And as you can see, those numbers are kind of corresponding with that. We're averaging 17 calls per day of 911 nature. And this year, 2015, was the first year that we had fully implemented our emergency medical dispatching. We had 1,920 calls that were classified and handled as emergency medical dispatching. That came out to be an average of 6 per day. That program has gone over real well. It's well received by the dispatchers. It's well received by the EMS. The EMS can see those call comments that the dispatchers enter from their screens as they're responding in the ambulances. And even the road staff, the road deputies, can see the same call, and they can see those comments on that. It assists them with, if they're close enough, that they can respond and lend assistance also. Business alarms or the home alarms, calls have been down, and traffic stops by all law enforcement in the county that we dispatch for were also down too. Yeah. We had a total of 8,032 case numbers that were assigned to our people, and the dispatchers issued a total of 14,763 case numbers. And case numbers are whenever we make contact with citizen by traffic stop, complaint, whatever the case may be, we issue a case number so we can keep track of that through our reporting system. We will also assign case numbers for all the village officers, State Patrol, DNR, so we can assist with keeping our system accurate with the calls for service, and then they can tie those into their records management system also. We also issue case numbers for all the EMS calls, and the fire departments get one when they're paged out also. Jail, we had over 1,100 inmates that were booked in. We had 143 felony charges and 576 misdemeanors that were booked in. The busiest days of the week turned out to be Monday and Friday, and the busiest times are from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. And we averaged 70 inmates per day, and that's the same average as we had last year. Our drug investigations, these are the investigations done by Detective Nate Klepecki. This is above and beyond what the road staff generates from traffic stops or going to complaints. These are investigations that Nate takes on, works, and ultimately winds up with resolution. We've had 15 drug-related search warrants we've executed in the county. That's an example of the different illegal narcotics that we run across. We've had 8 marijuana grows that we've arrested. 34 suspects have been arrested for delivery or sales. These are the felony crimes where it's a person selling drugs to somebody. This isn't a case of simple possession. It's not a case of simple possession of drug paraphernalia. These are charges where people were used over $10,000 towards the purchase of the illegal controlled substances, and this is 100% reimbursed by the Central Wisconsin Drug Task Force, which we're part of. Everything that we expend, including overtime, is reimbursed by the Central Wisconsin Task Force. We had over 48 controlled substances acts that we initiated. And for this year, the Central Wisconsin Task Force has received $46,000 towards heroin-related cases. Heroin has become such an epidemic across the state and across the nation that between state and federal grants, we've been awarded money. So when Nate and his fellow drug investigators work those cases involving heroin, we can draw from this grant money for that. Next slide. Example of what's occurring out on the road. Crashes are down, citations down, and go to the next slide. This is what our ultimately wind up with, the detectives wind up investigating. Pretty much all these categories are up. Domestic abuse, disorderly conducts, agency assist. This is when we assist other agencies. We either assist our village officers, we assist State Patrol, DNR. We get requests from other agencies that they'll want us to help or look for somebody in our county. This includes not only municipal and county agencies, but includes state and federal agencies. And emergency detentions are down by 5. Oh, thanks. One of the things we did was this last year we sent Deputy Ryan McElroy to some Spillman training. And with our system, and this goes back to 2013, we started to adjust the way we assign case numbers. And when we did this, it allowed us to get a better grasp of what we were doing and retrieve information from the system. Ryan was able to, after going to the class, he was able to come back and he's able to draw out a lot of statistics from our system. And we're generating reports on what's occurring within our sheriff's office. And this is an example of some of the next few slides are examples of what we're able to draw out from that. This shows a 3-year trend of our law incidents for our office. I think the general consensus is if you get about 5 years worth of statistics, you can start to develop some trends from the 5-year numbers. You want to go to the next slide, Dub? These are the case numbers for the villages. It's the Coloma PD, the Hancock Police Department, Plainfield, and Wild Rose. These are smaller departments that usually consist of maybe one full-time chief, maybe one full-time officer, but a lot of the times we wind up backfilling or we wind up taking calls in these villages, these 4 villages, when they're not out because of their staffing. But what we've seen in the last few years, especially Coloma, Hancock, and Wild Rose, with some change in their departments and some new blood, they've kind of increased their hours, and we've seen an increase in the number of calls that these villages have picked up. And I think that kind of correlates to some of our calls that we have been taking also. The next slide just shows what's occurring with Red Granite and Wautoma. Wautoma provides 24-hour coverage, and we very seldom are in the city except to back them up. The village of Red Granite does a pretty good job of providing some coverage. They're not full 24 hours, but they do a pretty good job of providing coverage, and it's just an example of what they have for their calls. This is kind of busy, but it basically it shows that we broke it out by the calls by the hour of the day. And if you look from like midnight till about 7 in the morning, we don't get a lot of calls, but the rest of the time, it's pretty well evenly broken out that we are busy. You can't really say that the mornings are busier than the afternoons or vice versa. It's pretty much even all the way across the board except from midnight to 7. But midnight to 7 is when we get our drunk drivers. We get a lot of domestic abuse calls. We get a lot of prowler calls or suspicious calls where somebody's outside a residence or a business, and those calls are a little more intense or high priority as far as there's not a lot of backup for the road guys when the villages are usually done by midnight, and there's very few administrative staff in our office at that time. So the next slide, again, it shows that there isn't one day of the week that's any busier than the others. It's pretty much all across all 7 days of the week. So this is kind of interesting. As Ryan presented this to me, it was, I was trying to identify trends or areas that really stood out, and it's pretty much all across the board. Next slide. This is another one, calls per month. You would think in the wintertime it would be slower, but it's not much slower than it is in the summertime. Our summertime, we're in the 700s, but we're pretty much 600 calls or so. February I attributed to a few days less than the rest of the month. But that gives us an idea too. You can't really say that, it used to be when I first came up here in 1982 with the State Patrol, in the wintertime, you'd paste a picture of a car in your windshield so you knew what it would look like, because you didn't see too many of them after dark. It was usually the deputies and myself out on the roads, but that's changed. That's not the case anymore. Next slide, Tim. Ryan was also able to go through, and again, this is kind of busy and it's hard to really look at, but this is again an example that we can break this out by locations, and we can tell by the townships or the villages the number of calls that we respond to. And we can do this for months, we can do this for years, and again, it's just to show you what we're capable of drawing out. And these are calls by location. This is where we're called and we respond to incidents in these townships or villages. Next slide. Calls by nature. Again, this is real busy. The column on the right shows all the different possible calls we can handle, all the types of calls we have built into our system. And yet, there's only 8 types of call that really account for a large percentage of our workload. Again, this is very busy. It's hard to really look at it, but this again, we can draw out what we want to as far as the types of calls we're dealing with. And this is just an example for last January. Next slide. If we remove the traffic calls and the fire and the medical calls, this gives us a breakdown of what would be like our criminal calls, and again, the types of calls we deal with. And again, it's a small handful of calls. We deal with more than the rest of the calls that we have in the system. Clearance codes, we can break it out to how these calls are disposed of, whether they're unfounded, situation resolved, we refer it to another agency, we clear it by an arrest, clear it by a traffic citation, or we just take a report on it. We can break it down and show the different ways that we're clearing out our calls. Next one, Tim. This gives us an example of how we receive calls or how we get information that we need to go out and handle these calls. The majority of them come in by telephone. A lot of them are initiated by officers, such as traffic stops, or coming across an open door, or coming, getting flagged down by a citizen or whatever. That makes up a majority of the way that we get calls, but we do get other calls from other agencies, and that kind of gives us a breakdown of those types of calls. Next slide. What? Go back.
911 and telephone are different. Telephone is just like your regular business line?
Yes, and we break it out. The 911 call is the one that comes in, alarm goes off in the dispatch, and that 911 call is a different protocol that the dispatchers use and handle it. So we do show that difference because they are two types of, we show them as, classify them as two different types of calls. So that's why there is a breakdown on that. So I think that was it. The next slide. Any questions? Everett.
Going back to Oshkosh last Thursday, and we were rerouted on 21 at Four Corners around the block. There was, I think, about 4 squads out there and a bunch. Are you allowed to tell us what was going on?
Head-on collision in the curve just this side of the four corners, right as you make that curve to go into the four corners. A vehicle crossed the center line, and the oncoming vehicle tried to react and tried to get out of the way, and they met head on. 3 people were seriously injured. That crash is being handled by the State Patrol. The trooper from Green Lake County was in the area, and shortly after it occurred, he was on the scene. Theta Star came in and flew 1 injured person out, and State Patrol believes the one driver may have fell asleep, and that's what they're looking at with their investigation. The road was closed down because of the serious injuries. We rerouted traffic, and State Patrol had their reconstruction people come in and map the scene and took that. So that was on Thursday night. Russell.
You've talked about body cameras in the past for your officers. When do you expect that to be initiated, in 2016 or later?
We haven't heard any more from Washington, D.C. or Madison about legislating or mandating it. There are a lot of law enforcement agencies in Wisconsin that are looking at it and going to it. It is a pricey program to implement. A lot of the agencies that we've had contact with were looking to store their videos on this cloud system that we talked about, and not having a hard server in your building where you would dump it onto, but reaching out and putting it on the cloud. But the cost of getting your videos to and from the cloud, they found, is very pricey, and there's a lot of sticker shock going around with those agencies that are implementing it. Like I said, I have not heard any more mandates or talk of it, but it takes just one shooting incident or one death of a citizen or an officer to reignite that debate, and I'm sure we'll probably be dealing with it again at that time. But I'm not in a position, or I'm not really asking for body cameras at this time. I'm still doing my homework, and I'm still keeping up on what's occurring, and as time goes on, I'll report back to you as what's occurring with that. Dennis?
Yeah, I understand there was a lockdown in one of the schools this afternoon. Can you comment on that?
No, it wasn't a lockdown. We had a medical emergency at the Riverview School. And in this particular case, it was not only EMS and fire that responded, but we had the city officer, a school resource officer was in the city, and one of our deputies was close to town, responded. So we had a law enforcement presence at the school, but it wasn't a lockdown situation. It was a medical situation.
I see, because I understood it was a lockdown in that people were told to remain in place.
It wasn't initiated by us. If it was, it may have been done by the school just to keep the kids out of the way of the EMS and the fire, but it was not a lockdown initiated by law enforcement for the security of the kids. It may have been a procedure that the school had for a medical emergency or medical situation on their campus.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good job, Jeff. Thank you. Next, we have the Treasurer's Office Annual Report to Elaine Neal.
My staff remain the same, Jean Armstrong and Jessica Yeager and myself. And the next slide is the list of our duties. Of course, the main duty is the receipt and deposit of all the monies and the daily balancing of the bank accounts. We have the eConnect with the bank, which allows me to check the bank daily and keep abreast of everything that's happening there. We balance the receipts and payments daily and with the printed reports, and we have a dual control of a verification for our dual control of the cash that's coming through the office. And then also we deliver duplicate receipts to the county clerk's office of all the monies received. So that's just a primary list, and some of the future slides I'll get into and explain what is happening on those. Okay. After we do the settlement of the county tax through March, then in April we send out notices of any delinquent taxes, and you can see the differences there between 14 and 15. So it looks a little better as far as that, the notices. Then after September, when we are finished collecting all the county tax, we take what's called tax certificate, and a notice is sent out in September, and we start our tax deed process by publication, which is done in March. And when we start the action, then we have a title search done. We prepare the notices, and they're sent by certified mail. And after the expiration, there's a resolution to the county board to take the property by tax deed. And when that is finished, we have an appraiser put a value on the property, and a publication is done for seal bids, and then the bids are opened by the executive committee and accepted, and then a calculation of the proceeds from the sale. We have used a Wisconsin surplus auction to sell some of the properties, and that works very well too after we have the initial seal bid process. This is a breakdown of the properties. The top part is the properties that were sold in 2015. The next set is the properties that we are currently working on and will be advertised for sale for seal bids. The appraisal was done, and there are still some lots in the village of Red Granite that we had from prior sale. Okay, this is our web portal, which is very useful, helpful for information. Go online and you can find taxes, assessment, the payments are shown out there. So that's useful for title companies, banks, individuals. They can print their tax bills and receipts from the web portal. This is Point and Pay is our provider for credit card payments. People can pay their taxes through the web portal by credit card. And this is a breakdown of our receipts for 2015. The general receipts are the receipts coming in from departments, all of the monies that are brought into to our office from various departments, or from the Department of Revenue or any of that. The county tax is the current year tax receipts that we're working on at the present time. The redemptions are the older tax outstanding taxes. tax settlement that is, excuse me, from a settlement with the 26 municipalities through February. And as I said, this is the bank reconciliation. We have access 24/7 to the banking, and we do provide the bank reconciliation monthly to the executive committee. And we can view any ACH or EFTs that are coming in or wire transfers, and any outgoing ACH. Our use value conversion for farmland that's converted to residential, there's a conversion fee for that on the acreage that is taken out of farm production. A lottery credit and first dollar credit, we administer that, and you can see any improved parcel is eligible for the first dollar credit. We had 16,169 claims for a total of $938,425.86. And then the lottery credit, 7,575 parcels, and a total of 746,115.68 for lottery and gaming credit collected. This is the settlement process with the municipalities. We do a January settlement, a February settlement, a lottery settlement, and then a final settlement of the first dollar and the August settlement. This is the snap of the January settlement. This is for the monies that the treasurers collect through the month of December, and then each of the entities receives a proportionate share of the monies collected. And the February settlement, then they turn over their records to me. Their tax payments are imported into the county system, and it's all balanced out, and then the settlement is done, and all the entities are paid their proportionate share of that collection. I think that's just a further break of that. That's an actual shot of the receipt as it breaks down as to what the county is, the balance of the taxes that are remaining to be collected. This is the April lottery collection or settlement sheet for the proportionate share of the lottery credit for each municipality. And this is the August settlement, or the final settlement, so that each entity then receives their total levy. Our webpage, we keep that up to date with all the necessary resources and links for our department. This is our mission statement: to provide high-quality service in an efficient, courteous manner. And our office is responsible for collection, disbursement, investments, and safekeeping of all county funds, as well as maintaining accurate records. then we do have a few goals, whether hopefully we can fulfill that. We'd like to create a workflow timeline for specific procedures and as to document that and have probably a manual that spells out when and how that's done, as well as samples. And then we'd like to standardize the procedure for interdepartmental deposits, provide departments with a new process to streamline EFT deposits and the dual verification of cash that's coming through the office, to eliminate the errors, confusion, and misappropriate time spent tracking down the appropriate recipient of EFT deposits, which is quite time consuming when I don't get much information from the bank as to where that money is, what department that money belongs to. So I spend a lot of time trying to contact the departments to verify that.
Are you having any luck getting more information through that process?
Well,
or?
if usually when I have several that come repetitiously, I can kind of determine then. But if a new one starts, it's kind of difficult to get the information. This is our strengths, weaknesses that we've come up with as far as the strategic planning. And we've have digitalized the old tax rolls and assessment rolls. We could have the payment of real estate taxes online. We have the verbal agreements for taxpayers as far as payment plans. Our weaknesses there, our threats are the public perception, internal and public. We have, of course, lost revenue with the web portal, which is a good thing in one way and not so good in the other. And of course, the delinquent taxpayers are an unstable economy. Interest rates, of course, are down as well. Any questions?
I heard an announcement the other day that a lot of countries are going to a negative interest rate, where they are actually charging you to keep their money in some countries. So yeah, I know we laughed about that, but apparently that's actually happening in some countries. So
it's a good thing we got Elaine a new safe.
yeah, seriously.
Well, I don't know about going down the state pool, the LGIP that we have some of our monies in. The interest rate went up it's up to 0.33 at this time. Up from 0.19.
Wow. Moving in the right direction anyway.
Right. So we can only hope it gets better.
Right. Thank you, Elaine. All right, next we have Administration Department Annual Report. Deb Behringer.
Is it okay if I just do this from here and then I can turn? Oh, okay, thank you.
How can we
Everett says as long as you do it fast.
How can we make fun of you? Sit here.
Get Benny in there, feel free.
Okay. All right. So I don't have 5 full-time staff anymore. I was able to add Liz Johnson last year, so we have 6 as of last year. So I've been here. You'll see that that's a very young picture of me. I refuse to change that picture. kids. That's when I started. Mike Abbott started in 2000. He's our IT coordinator. And then, of course, all of you probably know my lovely assistant, Michelle. She's been with me since 1992. Sean Kelly joined us in 2012. He's our GIS property lister. And then Liz joined us. She actually has worked for the county since 2009, but she did join our staff last year. And then Zach is brand new. Some of you remember, or maybe don't remember, but Sandy Grossneck had retired after being with the county for 30 years. So she was always doing payroll. We decided we needed to regroup a little bit and hire somebody that had more of a GIS background. So we hired Zach, and that's when we decided to outsource our payroll. So administration, we're kind of a catch-all. We do a little bit of everything. So just day-to-day operations, human resources, information technology, and GIS land information. The human resources, we have 21 different departments. We had 448 W-2s were issued for 2015. Recruitment, we hired 55 people last year. There were 61 terminations, whether they left for other employment or retired or whatever. Payroll's $13 million. It's a fairly huge payroll. We've got a full spectrum of benefits, and we oversee the policies that impact employees, safety policy, risk management policies, and then just general policies. 2015 workers' comp, our cost was $273,560. Liability is $180,000, property $62,000, crime is $1,600. Health insurance is $2.9 million a year. Last year, unemployment, we spent $11,363. That's down a little bit from prior years. Our equipment breakdown policy is $10,500. And short-term disability, we switched from having the majority of our employees on sick leave, accrue sick leave. We have a short-term disability policy instead. So in years past, we would have spent $250,000 on sick leave. So this is the trade-off. Information technology, we help with computers, telephones, copy machines, faxes, tablets, cameras, storage. We get involved in a wide array in that area. We're very dependent on our IT. We also have been going through the strategic planning, and so our mission is to use the best solutions to provide the best possible services. Vision administration will develop, encourage, and value an environment that provides high-quality supportive services. My staff, we worked as a team to come up with this. Initiatives, we always need to be communicating and improving that. A lot of awareness on benefits and wellness. We do a lot in the wellness area now. With health insurance at $2.9 million, it behooves us to try to have healthier staff. We put out a newsletter. We try to do it every other month. Sometimes we get a little hung up on that, but that's what we're trying to do right now. We do employee meetings. We have annual safety trainings. Our email is probably the primary way we communicate and surveying employees on what their needs are. The other things, it's really expensive to keep software and hardware current, but that is one of our goals. It seems like if you don't spend a little bit of money on a constant basis, you're in the catch-up mode, and that in the end of the day costs more money. But we realize the financial limitations, and we also have the training limitations. So we have staff at all different levels of computer comfort, and so we have to work within that reality. Our strengths, I think our staff is we try to be flexible. We try to, think outside the box. I've got a lot of really dedicated staff. I'm really been fortunate. Weaknesses are always going to be communication. It's a big county. We've got 21 different departments. They're not all located in the same building, so that is always a challenge. Our opportunities, so we're trying to do a lot of training and cross-training so other people can jump in and help out when somebody else is gone. Threats, I always think that public and internal perception, we deal with a lot of that, the negativity. Government gets a bad rap. Whether you're federal, state, local, they think of us all the same. We're just the government. And the federal and state regulations are coming fast and furious. And I'm afraid the federal government with with a president on his way out the door, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to get pushed through the back door. So we're trying to keep up with that. We have 32,000 parcels, 648 square miles. That hasn't changed, guys, since I've been here. Still 26 municipalities. They do about 7 transfers a day. Our goal for this year is to try to keep those current. We are usually about 3 weeks behind, though. It's about 3 weeks behind. I think they're working, in the middle of January right now. And so they maintain the GIS website and the mapping. We really need to upgrade the ARC program. It's not being supported anymore. We have to really wait for Spillman to update their product for us to update our product. And supposedly, and Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like sometime this summer they're going to do that. Okay, so hopefully we'll be able to update that. Big projects this last year, we converted to ADP. We've been adding server and memory space. They updated the land records plan. We've been working with strategic planning, and that's going to include the performance evaluation system that will get implemented this year. We boosted the thin client. So I know I've been in this business a really long time. When I started, you had a mainframe. Then they went away from mainframes, and everybody had a desktop. Thin client is a different name for a mainframe. That's all it is. So it's gone full circle. We're working with a lot of people's help. We're trying to update the cameras in this building and in the jail. And then we are always looking to make sure our policies are up to date. So I do risk management. We try to do annual safety training. In 2015, we had 31 worker comp notices. So we ask our employees to fill out a form on anything. If they have any type of, they fall, anything, even if they don't get hurt. The reason I ask people to fill this out is I'm looking for patterns. I'm trying to make sure that we're on top of things. 13 of those 31 would have risen to the level that I had to put them into the state as on an OSHA 300 form. So there was something beyond first aid. And then our state modifier is 0.78. That can go as high as 2. The lowest I've ever seen it was 0.58. But basically what happens if you, for example, if you have a $100,000 workers' comp bill, you use that state modifier, so that 100,000 times 0.78, so now that you've just saved, $22,000 or whatever. But if it goes up to 2, that 100,000 just got doubled. So that's why I harp on the workers' comp and trying to be safe, because you pay for that for 3 years. It takes 3 years to get a bad claim off your books. All other things I work with is fixed assets. I'm in constant contact with our bonding company to make sure our stuff is all up to date to keep our ratings. Always working on policy development. I'm in contact with legislators when something doesn't seem right. I sit on the Fox Valley Workforce Development Board and on the Selective Service Board. So what's going on this year? We're going to be implementing our performance evaluation system. Through 2016, it is going to be a merit-based system, in part of it anyway. So that's going to be a huge change and a huge shift for us. Mike has made me promise that the camera project will be done before he retires. So I'm hoping it's going to go out to bid pretty quick. So hopefully we'll be. A big thing, Mike's retiring at the end of this year, so we'll start that transition to replace him. And, I will definitely miss the guy. He's a really hard worker. Any questions? Was that fast enough, Everett? Great? Okay. Any questions? Anything you want to ask me about? I just wanted to mention that I did get notice today that Dennis Dornfeld passed away. He was one of our extension agents for many years, and he passed away. All right, thank you.
Deb, where are we on the camera project? We're just ready to go out to bid? Is that?
They're just putting the final touches on the diagrams where the maps were. This this has been going on for about 2 years, so cameras have been changed since the original diagrams were made, so they're going in and they're making sure that everything's properly noticed on the map. So, Brian Hanneman, from Clark Dietz he's actually going to put the RFP out, and I'm thinking it's gonna happen pretty quick.
Thank you.
I think the plan is it goes to public safety by the June meeting for approval. So
Right.
hopefully that's the goal.
Okay, thank you, Deb.
You bet.
All right, discussion and possible motion action item, tentative letter of agreement with EMS International Association of Firefighters, Local 425.
Well, we had a grievance with the definitions of what comp time is. And so I asked if they would sit and meet with us and talk about maybe coming up with some clarification on that language. And so this is what we came up with. There was a second grievance on comp time. They've agreed to drop both those grievances. And this clarifies when comp time can be used or when it can be accrued and when it not. So it does clarify it, and it'll just make it a lot easier for implementation.
We'll entertain a motion for approval. Motion by Everett. Second by Bernadette. Any further questions or comments concerning this motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. 2016 fire wardens as proposed by the Department of Natural Resources.
Motion to approve the appointments.
Motion by Dennis. Second by Everett. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, resolution number 0202-16, adoption of the Wisconsin City Lakes Implementation Plan.
I make a motion to adopt this resolution.
Motion by Bernadette. Second by Everett. Any questions or comments concerning this? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, now we have some appointments. The first one is an appointment to the Winnifox Library System Board of Trustees. That would be myself and Jim Miller. Jim is here tonight, and we have both been on Winnifox for, well, you have been on it longer than I have. But things are plugging along, right? All right, motion
to
by
approve.
Bob. Second by Larry. Any questions?
Well, they look a little shaky, don't they?
Well, just a little, but you know.
I'm not sure why she said that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, we have an appointment to the Commission on Aging. Warren Brewer from Hancock, and you have the information concerning Warren. He's been on the Commission on Aging for quite a few years also. He had to leave the commission for a time, and now he's coming back on.
So move to approve.
Motion by Barry. Second by Bernadette. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, do we have any board suggestions for future agenda items? Well, I personally am so happy to see Bernadette back again. And if you could do one favor for me, would you please stop and see Otto at Stone Ridge? He asks me about you every time I go in there.
Who's that?
Otto, the butcher.
Oh, okay.
He asks me about you every time I go in there, so, and he explains to me all about how the ram
Wants to
does,
butcher.
you know, so,
He just probably wants to butcher the sheep.
yeah. Well, he's worried about Bernadette, so.
Should get butchered.
Yeah. Also, East Central Planning will be having their meeting, their quarterly meeting on April 29th. And it's going to be held here in Waushara County. I think as it stands, we'll be at the World War II building, and so you're all invited. It's going to be on they're going to have a mini conference on rural transportation, so I don't want you all to jump and raise your hand at once that you want to go, but everyone
put that pressure on yourself that you don't have to bring them.
Do you expect a long meeting or not?
I know.
Two more.
Never thought I'd have rides on a short bus my entire career.
Next Tuesday?
I'll go over a campaign.
Okay, that's okay.
Hi, I heard the treasurer talking a lot about cash money, and you guys want to make me do direct deposit. I'd like mine in cash.